Hello, I'm hoping everyone can hear me. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, is it? I can't remember, is that the joke? Welcome to Craft Cave Live. Craft Cave Live. With John next door. Oh no, pointing the wrong way, John next door. So hopefully the signage. I hope those of you that joined me earlier could enjoy that. Hi John, Sam and friends, just back from having my injections. Oh, only 4 needles snapped today. Sorry, Samantha. I do hope your health gets better. Good evening, Anne Mountjoy, Susan Carr, Ruth Howard, Dawn Kettleborough. Hello again. Hello, Amanda. So if you were able to join us an hour ago, so I've literally just come off live for the Art of Craft for the midweek deals, that's brilliant. If not, doesn't matter. I'm just glad you're all here now. So again, a little bit of I'm losing my words, honestly, 2 hours. Housekeeping, as per usual. If you're watching on Facebook, you can comment, you can question, you can do anything you want to in the comments. Just put the word question or Q and ask the question. And I want your questions tonight about stamping. Michael said, can the pens be refilled? Like most pens, they can't, Michael. No, I don't think so. There is no real way to do it. They're filled with dye ink and it's a sealed unit. So like most pens, they can't. However, I've had mine 4 years and I still haven't needed to. So I wouldn't worry too much about that one. If you're watching on YouTube, hello YouTube. And yeah, quite a few of you are watching on there. Remember, if you want to ask any questions, don't put a comment on YouTube because we can't look at both of them. So please put your comments on Facebook and I can answer them. So I'm going to move you to the overhead because I'm going to get sort of started. And as you know, for those of you who watch all the time, Craft Cave Live is all about demonstrations. So there won't be any flashing things at the side to give you prices or anything. Everything is just about demonstrations. And I thought tonight, because we launched those beautiful stamps on Sunday, I really thought that I should do something on stamping because lots of people, I know we've got a lot of die cutters. We've got a lot of die cutters and that love to do a bit of stamping to match with it, but don't know what to do it. So I thought this is a good way to do it. So I've had my first question. Amanda Bacon. Hello. Oh, bacon, my favourite food. Bacon. I asked before about balsa wood. Can you heat emboss onto it and what ink do I use? What I would do, Amanda, is you can heat emboss onto it. I would use, if you're heat embossing, I would use my little trick. And I'll show you my little trick for heat embossing. And I know I did this last Sunday, I've done it a few times, but a lot of people ask. I don't use a lot of coloured, certainly don't ever use black embossing powder. So what I would do is this little trick. So I've got my stamp, I'm using the Lily Corner because that's the one I want to do to show you how to go around one. What was Carol Byers? Hello again. Question, can you paint with the eyes ink sprays, please, John? And do you just shake them to mix them up when they separate? Yes, that's all you do, Carol. And then you just squirt some down. Actually, let me go and grab one. Because this is a great way to actually show you. Where have I put mine? You can actually see. Sorry, everyone knows I've wandered off. Whoops. Knocking everything. Look, this. So because I've been playing with these so much, I've left them out. Could you do jelly plates with the stamps? The stamps work perfectly. You're better with a media plate, but yes, you can use a jelly plate with no problems at all, Michael, with the stamps because they're photopolymer made in the UK. So yeah, I'll show you how we colour with the sprays if you want me to. So what I want to do is I want a really clean, crisp black line, but I want it heat embossed. And I'd do exactly the same on balsa wood. And I've forgotten who's asked the question now. I know it was Bacon, which is good for me to remember. So using my technique, this is clear ink, but this is my dirty heat embossing pad. So I have a dirty one and I have a clean one. Yep, so that's when I'm using clean fresh embossing powders. When I'm doing techniques like this, I use a dirty pad, which is why I have 2 of our Craft Artist brilliant embossing pads. So what you do is ink your stamp first with your embossing ink. Yeah. Then I'm going on with my VersaFine in Onyx Black. So I'll get a clear, crisp, black embossed line. If I try to heat emboss just with VersaFine Black, I'm going to struggle. So I'm just going to put that down like that. It never gets old watching embossing powder melt. No, you're right. If that was just black VersaFine, that would be dry now. Embossing powder wouldn't stick to it. But because I've put that layer of embossing ink on first, that's now sitting at the top. Yeah. So I'm going over with clear embossing powder, because clear's always finer. And again, if it goes blobby, you can't see it because it's clear. So hopefully you can see now that's gone a bit grey coloured. Because it's got what's effectively at the moment a white looking powder over it. And it does work with other colours, so I'll show you in other colours. Then I grab my heat gun, and best tips for heat embossing. Turn it on first, let it get warm. Yeah? Let it come to heat, just like you would with an iron. The longer you have the heat in contact with, certainly if you're using balsa wood or something, you want the heat in contact for the least time possible. So run your heat gun first, and look, just watch, can you see it going? And it goes clear black. So it goes from grey to clear black, but I don't lose any of that definition. The powder might have gone a bit, the powder might have gone a bit blobby. But it doesn't matter, because all I'm seeing is the black VersaFine line. So that's how I would do it. Can you see how less warped that is? Literally, you know, a press down and it's done. Yeah? It's nowhere near as warped as you would normally get an image like that. But yeah, Carol was asking about using the sprays. And all I do is on my mat, give it a shake, because they're non-clog. Yeah, so we do that. Right, so Roberta, just found you again. Missed you leave. Need help with an old stamp of yours. Pansies, can't find demos. Pansies were 5 years ago, unfortunately, Roberta. And so the demonstrations for that were on Facebook, and Facebook got hacked and we lost everything. So I have checked YouTube for you, and there isn't anything on that, but it is a very simple one to do. It's just a case of stamping it, lining up the die and cutting it out. So I'm really sorry I can't tell you where to look, because unfortunately we lost all of those. But I'd rather be honest than fluff you. So all I've done is sprayed some onto my mat. Yeah. And I'm taking my water brush, and someone asked before in the last hour about cleaning. I just squeeze some water out until it eventually runs clear. Yeah. But with the sprays, pick it up with the water brush. I'm using our water brush, which is a dry one, which means it doesn't constantly flow. Oh no, Joanne, she's late due to having to retrieve Cat from behind the armchair. But look, they will paint and colour perfectly. Same with the gold, the silver. But what I would do with these, because they're more liquidy, heat emboss, use that trick first. Yeah? So heat emboss, because unless you blob it out like I've just done, they'll stay where it's put. It will pool in just the places it's put. So yeah, colouring with the sprays is really easy, but it's a little bit more watery. Yeah? So I just need to, Every time I pick some up, I'm picking up quite a bit. That's why I've heat embossed this first. So remember, any other questions about stamping, guys, fire them in, because obviously doing so many hours, I want to answer what you guys want to know. But I am going to show you masking next. So, but yeah, can you see, Carol? It's really easy. And again, because they are dye sprays, so these are the same colours as are in the pens, really, they can still mix. Oh, Susan's husband's gone out, so she doesn't need earphones. Good for you, Susan. Yeah, Sammy's gone to Sainsbury's. But there again, I don't, yeah. So I don't need, you know, that here either. I don't need earphones, although I don't, because it's only me talking. But again, I can pick that up. But this is where having the embossing comes in. Take a little bit more time than me. But yeah, they're beautiful to paint with, and they'll mix. So I can put some in the centre. I don't know what it is. I love having green in the centre. But you see there, I've got almost different shades and tones because of the heaviness of the ink. So if I want to get rid of that green, I have to squeeze my brush until it's clear, pick up the orangey colour, and I can just go back on and add darker shades in. Because it's embossed, I can almost put more in, pull more ink in, which sometimes with flowers looks more original. Oh, thank you, Roberta. I used to visit Daisy Jules. I love Daisy Jules. I loved Wendy and Jeff. That's another shop we've lost, unfortunately. So, where are we? Have I missed any questions? So, that's that one. Now, the other thing I was going to show... Oh, no. I didn't want to do is waste this. So, you get, look, a more intense colour with the sprays. In fact, I might put a little bit more yellow down. So, you know, when you're trying to do that technique that they do and they make it look so easy on Facebook, where they put a little bit of an ink pad down and then squirt water at it, and they get the most amazing things, and yet when we try it, it turns to mud. It works a lot better with the sprays. And again, that is nearly 100% dry. So you'll get a far more intense colour doing that. Now, the only thing you'll find is, and I've done this, is if you poke into your mat, you cut through the silicone, you get into the fibres, ink can go in and they run everywhere. So, you know, that's sometimes you will find that you start to get, because it's obviously happened somewhere with the pink, and now the pink has gone in everywhere. So, but it's just how it is over time. But don't worry, we've got something coming to hopefully help out with that one. I'm just going to take a drink. So, what's that? Oh, yeah, it's telling me that one. But that's, I'm going to give that a waft with my heat gun. I've got the hump. Stuart's put exercise bike in the room. He said I could have as a craft room. Well, just tell him to move it out, Anne. Or just do, just put your craft room in there anyway and let him carry on with his bike while you're doing it. Karen, it is a real shame that we're losing many of the shops and the craft suppliers. We need to make sure we're supporting them as much as we possibly can, because yeah, we are losing a lot of the craft shops and a lot of the craft suppliers. I mean, I've got people who are still working out sort of, you know, the last few minutes of their jobs in some of those craft suppliers, and it's soul destroying for some of them. So I've just picked up the waste. I'm just going to pick up my stamp and I'm just going to ink over the top in the VersaFine. Yeah. So, question, is it a cleaning cloth? No, it's not, Emma. You can get a cleaning cloth from Morrison's. 5 for £1 in a box. So, no, it's not. Just helps her swap around a little bit. Just drape some clothes over the bike. He'll never use it. I did that with my ex's golf clubs, and trust me, they never, ever got used. So you can see there, you've kind of lost that image. Yeah. So this is what I wanted to show you, is where masking comes in. I'm going to do a couple of different tricks with this, but I'm using, these are our masking sheets. And you're going to see me use something I use very, very rarely. So these are our masking sheets. And I'm just going to pop that down. Well, if he thinks I'm exercising while crafting, he's in for a shock. Yeah, no, that's just wrong. Like I said, I did the same with my ex's golf clubs. I draped a load of clothes over them and he didn't go for 18 months. I think golf was just an excuse. I'm going to use StazOn because the masking sheets have got a slight sheen to them. And I want to show you, this afternoon, I stamped onto the masking sheets in VersaFine in normal onyx black. Yeah? And look, it's still not dried fully. Now, what I can do, if you've only got VersaFine, is take your cloth and you can colour off the excess and you can just about see the design. But it's not worth it. What's he said? Yeah, they're shutting, on Hobbycraft, they are shutting down 9 of them. I noticed it earlier from a post from our wonderful Elaine. So, yeah, they are shutting 9 of them down. But it's not the chain going, it's just 9 of them. But they are planning to do some more. So I've just inked the stamp with StazOn. So you'll see, and it's so rare I use StazOn. It's something I usually, by the time I come to use it, it's completely dried up. Because because I use it so infrequently. But look, that's dried. This is where we use StazOn. And then what you're going to do is just cut it out. And they're not difficult to do. This lily isn't. But the blooming flower would actually be even easier, that I was using earlier. So we're just going to cut that out. I'm not going to cut it all out. I've got one already cut. But when you're cutting, I'm using our titanium scissors because they cut. These are the same scissors I cut foam tape with, you know, because they don't get anything or glue on them. But what you're doing is move the paper, not the scissors. Can you see? I'm moving the paper. I'm not moving the scissors. So all I'm doing is slowly closing the scissors. This becomes quite mindful, actually. And you actually start to do it. Yeah. I mean, as Leslie says, thank goodness the shows are still going. Yeah, don't forget, I will be at Lincoln with the Art of Craft with the wonderful Mark and the fantastic Penny. And anyone who's going, if you can go up to Mark and say to him, what you done to your head? Because bless him, he's had a bit of a fall. And you know what? Anyone who comes to the shows knows what our Mark's like. So he'll be really grateful for you doing that. And then he'll shout at me, saying, what have you told all these ladies to do? So you can see that isn't difficult. I've just cut it out. But once you've done it once, that's it, Michael. It's because they're not stocking John next door in Hobbycraft. Yes, I think you might be right there. I think that's why a couple of other places are doing badly as well. Yeah, that's true. It's like Smith's tries to do a lot of things, so it doesn't do them very well. To be honest, Hobbycraft doesn't do a lot of what of our sort of crafting. To me, it's very much boxes and canvases and things like that. Samantha, the scissors are brilliant. They are the best I've ever had. This is the longest period I've gone on with one pair of scissors. Yeah? That is the one pair of scissors. Yeah? I normally have swapped them every couple of months or every 6 months or something. It's got to be 18 months now. So yeah, so if you're coming to Lincoln, come and say hello. Hello. So here's them stamped out. Yeah, I've got to agree with you, Leslie, on that one. So here's them stamped out and cut out. So now I'm going to do the same technique again, but this time I'm going to take a piece, just normal white card. I'm going to put that in. I struggled to spend my Hobbycraft vouchers, not much what apart from, I've bought plain white stamping ink card. That's the only place that I can get it from. Sometimes that's when I need something in a hurry. That's the only thing I can ever find in there. I'd be lost without this, without Craft Cave, without everybody, without our little community. I'd be lost. That's why I always say to people, if you know someone who's missing out, let them know that we were hacked and that we need to go, you know, and to come on to John Next Door Official if they want to watch Craft Cave or they want to join us. Yeah. Heat gun. Yeah, that's a good one to get from Hobbycraft, Emma. So all I've done is stamp that in VersaFine Onyx Black again. Yeah, but look, unlike on the plastic sheet, it's dry. It's about using the right ink for the right product. Yeah, I mean, have you not tried? Those are quite good for cutting fabric. The longer ones, Samantha. I mean, they don't come any longer than that, but they will be. They originally were sold to us as fabric scissors. That's what the manufacturer said. I said, have you got anything bigger? He said, we've only got the fabric ones. And I went, yeah, that's the size we want. So try those ones. But yeah, you could do with probably some really long, really big ones. So there's our image. But obviously, when I stamped that onto that background, I've lost that image. But I want that to stay white and I want the background. So that's why I use the masking sheets. And the masking sheets are reusable. So I've stamped it. It's a low tack. So it's made by the same company who make our high tack. And loads of companies do masking sheets. But you see there now, I can find the design and just put it over the top. Now, I'm never the best at getting this exactly right, but I've not done bad for once. There we go. I'm a little bit out there. But don't forget, the idea is it's repositionable. So I'm off a little bit. Well, we'll live. There we go. So I'll just give that a good press down. So now I've masked that off. Oh, Dave pinched those as soon as they arrive for wallpapering. I thought Hobbycraft was amazing when I was the first one that opened in Ferndown many years ago. Yeah, it's changed a lot. Weather Woman is holding a huge cricket while stating the weather on TV. Okay, fair enough. He wants you to talk to him, Nicola. He's interrupting because he wants you to talk to him. So what I can do now is the same idea. So I can use the sprays, put a bit down. And as I said, I get a far more intense colour from using these than from using an ink pad. Look. So I'm not going crazy, but can you see there? I've done that sort of splashy pickup. And I find this is a lot better with sprays than it ever was when I was using ink pads, because they seem to always mix together. So let's just, again, clean off that excess. And I just want to give this a waft with the heat gun, just to dry it off. Debbie Sherwood, being honest, Art of Craft is my nearest supplier down here in Brighton, apart from Hobbycraft, which doesn't cater to what... It doesn't cater to us, unfortunately. You know, it really doesn't. So, just giving it a little bit of dry off. Art of Craft has more than anyone. It's where I get the majority of my stuff from. I'd say probably 100% now, to be honest. So, I've stamped that. So, remember our previous one? We did the pickup. So we did the pickup and then we stamped the image over the top. This time I stamped the image but then added the masking sheet on, and it's reusable, so this is not just a one-off shot, but look how different it looks when I peel it off. I just think it's amazing, and it's one of those people go, oh, how have you done that? Bless. Yeah, I mean, I know Craft Stash. Sam used to be a member there because they did the sprays that he liked. Oh, right. My husband just rang me. I said, you're interrupting my craft cave. I said, sorry, he's gone to his mates now. But look, the difference. That crisp. And you could then, you know, you can then colour it, bring those colours back in and make it stand out. But I actually like having just the white in there. And how would I bring that together? Because that's the next question that I would expect somebody to ask me, is how would I bring that together or make it stand out or into a card? So first thing I would do is check the size. So this is one of my usual, so it's 4 1/8. This is a flower piece by 5 3/4. So I want to go to 4 1/8. So I want to add 1/4 inch on. So that would be 4 1 2 3/8 by 5 3/4, which would be 6. So I'm adding 1/4 inch on. Do I clean my stamps after using StazOn? No, Marion, I really don't, because I use it so rarely. And then I've already put 3 or 4 layers of, I've already got VersaFine already on it. Yeah. I've already got VersaFine on it. So then I put, it's not on a clean stamp, if that makes sense. So let's just check I'm right. Yeah. That white border makes a difference. Then I'm going to grab a piece of black from my scrap drawer of black. Always do this. Always keep a scrap drawer of black. I have a scrap drawer of black, scrap drawer of white, and then scrap drawer of colours. I've got to show you this. Look. This is my scrap drawer of pinks and lilacs. And that's all that's in there. But I go to it all the time now, certainly since I've started making those little strips and cards and things like that. So that was 4 3/8. So 4 1/2 by 6 1/8. I'm adding an 1/8 on. Yeah. Oh, Nicola, bless. Yeah, all the small shops, it's such a sad thing, but we have to support them, you know. It's you know, it's great. We have to support. That's why I support the art of craft so much, because we want it to carry on. You know, it can only carry on if it's doing enough. That's the thing. So let's just do. So I've just matted and layered that. Okay. But look what happens when I put that on. That makes exactly sense. And I'm going to take the sentiment, and I'm going to take the sentiment actually from, where did I put them? I'm putting stuff all over the place, honestly. I really am. I'll take the sentiment that's actually already on my press, which is from the blooming flower, which is have a blooming good day. So I'm going to put that on. It's on my precision press. You know the routine by now. Ink that and stamp it. Yep, nice and simple. A little bit of glue on the back. And there we go. But that's how I frame it. Yeah, nice and simple. Oh, Emma, I must phone the Art of Craft and find out how much I owe. Oh, no, never do that, Emma. Never ask. Never ask. That's dangerous. But you see that? And then I will make it into a card. Because we always look and think, oh, well, how do we So I'm going to grab a scrap piece. Ooh, just about big enough. A little bit of glue on. So this is a scrap when I've folded over A3 card to make a card square. And I keep them in another drawer. I have so many drawers behind me. How many have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I have 17 drawers to the side and behind me. And another 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 in front of me. Terrible, aren't I? Take my large scissors and just chop that off. But again, anyone's got any questions about stamping, fire them in. But because that came completely from... But you see the difference between masking it and not. I don't have to colour that image. It looks so good just being like that. Yeah, I've stamped on white. But everyone will think, how have you done it? How have you coloured white on top? Well, we haven't. We've done it the other way around. So, what I'm going to do next is, I'm going to use the same stamp again. But this time I want to there's a little trick with this, because you can see it would actually work really well as a sort of round. And I have I have 2 desks in my craft studio. Ooh, Emma, very posh. Will actually go together as a frame. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut this to, let's go with 5 3/4. It's my size, by 5 3/4. But I want them to kind of, I'll show you if I put one on. Can you see there? They're going to overlap. And that means they're going to crash into each other. And obviously, I don't want them to crash into each other. I want it to be a continuous ring. Now, obviously, it means I'm going to have one on the front and the others behind, but I'm going to show you how we do that. So, let's bring in our press to impress. So I've got my card cut to 5 3/4 square. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to put my stamp down just in the corner. Okay, and this will be my primary corner. So whatever I stamp first will be at the front. Okay, so take that again, Onyx Black VersaFine. And I'm just going to stamp it, just like I would do normally. I don't know why I keep pressing so hard when I've got my stamp press tool. That's what I actually need. So, what you do is, Carol's just said she's been told she can't have any more furniture in the craft room as floorboards won't take it. What you do is get a shed and pack some stuff that you know you're not going to use into boxes and put it in the shed, giving you space in the craft cave. That's what I do. That's funny. Nicola's just saying about sort of, you know, used to be a butcher's and things. We moved up here hoping that we would get a butcher's, and there was a really good one in the village about 5 minutes from us. And 2 days after we moved here, it closed down after 100 years. It's crazy. It's terrifying. So I've stamped that first. Yeah. And again, I'm going to stick this is the same one as I used before because they're reusable. So I'm going to stick on my mask. I'm then going to rotate it 90 degrees, ink my stamp. But if you notice, I'm not massively, no, I'm going to ink the lot. Sorry, I do need to do that, sorry. So I'm going to ink the lot as normal. Yeah. Put it down, use my presser tool. There we go. Look. Looks messy, doesn't it? Well, don't worry. Honestly, don't worry. This will work. So then, I'm going to take my other one and again just peel it off the backing. I'll show you how we store these. Of course, it was easy to do it earlier. There we go. So peel it off the backing. I just store these on my stamp storage sheets because they work just as well. So I just use one of my... So this is my Lily stamp storage sheet. So I just stick them down to that. Because you keep them, once you've made them, you keep reusing them. Just have to be a little bit careful. And I do the same thing again, but I don't really need, I only need to mask over that little corner. So this is where I'm probably a little bit naughty. I could put a whole thing on there, but in actual fact, the easiest thing for me to do on this is just to cut out the bit that I need to mask. So this is almost like selective masking. There we go. So I've just covered the end bit and then I rotate it again that 90 degrees. Ink my stamp. Turn it over, stamp it. Use my presser tool, makes it so much easier. Okay, and I need to finish off the last one, so I don't want this bit, so I'm going to have to cut another one. It's a good job I stamped one earlier, isn't it? So it's just that end bit I need. So don't think, oh, I need to cut a mask for absolutely everything. No, you can get away with cheating, just cutting using the bit you need. Or you can get away with reusing it, but it's messy, so it's easier to do this. So again, just using my scissors, and when I'm cutting my mask, I'm moving the paper, not the scissors. Sounds daft, doesn't it? But I'm moving the paper. I mean, if you dab hand with a craft knife and a glass mat, you could do that, but I'm not. Oh, Yupo paper. No, Roberta, you can't set fire to Yupo paper because it's plastic. When you drop the alcohol inks onto it, you're dropping it onto like a gloss paper or a gloss card, and you're setting fire to it. If you do it to Yupo paper, it will melt. And you're burning off the alcohol, just like you do when you're cooking. So all I'm going to do, again, is just cover the bit that I know is going to get stamped. Yeah? I got what you meant, Roberta. Don't worry about it. I got what you meant. I remember doing that. I used to love doing that in classes. And then I'm just going to ink my stamp for the last time. And again, stamp it down, presser tool. Yeah, oh no, never take them into B&M or Aldi's middle aisle. We'll spend a fortune. Or they'll tell you that, oh, you can get your craft stuff from here. It's just as good. And we both know we all know it's not. So you see there, that's a bit messy. Let's pull it down. You see? But it isn't. Now, you've got to be careful because obviously there's ink on top. But look at there. Those flowers now run into each other. Yeah, I'm going to take this one off. So go to an area where you haven't really stamped on. Take that one off. Look. Those flowers now overlap. So we're making a big image. Again, going underneath this one and that one. Peeling this one off, and again reusable. All you do, slap it down to your stamp storage sheet, and then take your cloth and wipe off your mucky ink. Sorry, yeah. But look there, you can't see the seam. So you can't see the seam anywhere in that. That is almost as if it's a massive, it's a continuation. Every flower finishes, no flower runs into each other. And if there's anywhere you think, oh, there's like a little gap, because I can just see there's a little gap there, I just use my micron pen, but I can't see any. That's actually quite amazing. Normally, you know, sometimes I see quite a few different gaps. But there, we've got a full circle of stamps. That doesn't exist because we masked it. And again, I would spend some time now. I'm not going to grab the pens and start colouring now, or start colouring each individual flower, because we'd be here for hours. But hopefully you can see how beautifully that works. Yeah. So I think I've got one more I want to show you, one more technique, unless anyone's got any more questions. Because if you remember in the live on Sunday, I was showing you how we could miss out die cutting an outside bit of something. I want to show you now how we can actually do it on the inside, which is the more classic way of doing it. Yeah. So I think that I just want to do something like that now, but I love it in the black and white. Again, it just wants a sentiment in the middle and a matte and layer, and we're done. But it looks so intricate, and no one, it's one of those, I always say, I'll challenge someone to believe it was made with one stamp like that. Yeah, really easy to do. I've fallen back in love with this Lily Corner stamp. I'm sorry, I really have. So let's gonna do, how do we overlap? So I'm going to make a smaller piece this time. I'm going to do a 5 by 5. So not too big. Okay. And then again, I'm going to, honestly, I'm terrible. So don't forget, let's pull this back up so you can see properly. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to clean off the excess ink. I'm not going to use my stencils this time, but I'm not going to lose them. So I will, after the show, I'll take them off and put them somewhere else. So this time I'm going to put my card in. I'm going to take my corner. Okay. I'm just going to pop it into the corner, pick it up. And again, VersaFine Onyx Black, because it shows up nice on the screen. Okay, and stamp that. So I'm not doing anything overly fancy with it. But what I want to do is I want to cut like a circle out of the rest of it, certainly because I've marked the card. So I've taken a circle. This is a 1, 2, 3. So 3 1/4 inch circle. Yeah. And all I'm going to do is place that in the middle of the card. Okay. Then I'm going to take a pencil, and when we were doing the outside, we did a line around the outside. This time, I'm doing a line. I'm drawing a line around the inside. Okay, there we go. So I've drawn a line around the inside. Yeah. Then, take your scissors or take your knife. If you're using your knife, remember to bring your self-healing cutting mat in, because that's what I always forget. And what I want to do is just roughly cut around that. So I'm basically making a big enough gap to get my scissors in. There we go. Okay. I know it looks a bit of a bugger at the moment. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that. Yeah, the stamp's one of the ones that was on special offer earlier tonight. Roberta. It's just because when I got it out, I thought, oh, I love that. I'm gonna use that one tonight. So, by cutting it, I can get my scissors in, which means that I can cut down. And can you see where the line? Let's pull it down. Can you see where that line intersects? I'm going to cut right up to that flower there, like that. Yeah. And then I'm going to take my scissors, and make sure you've got cleaner hands than I've got. And I'm going to cut the design out that's inside the circle. So you can do this with any stamped image, but it works so well with flowers. So we're just going to stamp. There we go. So I'm going round, cutting like that, and cutting out my design, moving my card, not my scissors, but cut however it suits you. Yeah. And Matt, she likes the Fisker scissors. Yeah, we were looking at these little ones. Catherine, I haven't done this technique with the circle for ages. I haven't, and you forget about it. And we need to use these techniques. We learn them and don't use them. It's like masking. There's so much more we can do with it than we think about. Once you've made a mask for a stamp, you can do so much with it. So, when I get to where the circle kind of finishes, what I have to do is I have to cut and go quite out. Yeah, like that. Further. So then we take our circle down, we slide it into where we've cut, and we place it on that pencil line, just like that. Tape it down, and can you see? So the die is behind the image, underneath there, and I'm simply going to run that through. I'll run it through my Kaleido, and I'll show you what I get. There we go. So there we go. But look, circle cuts out perfectly. But doesn't that look as if it's a special die? As if it's a die designed? Angela, is it easier to fussy cut with a larger pair of scissors? I find it a lot easier. The bigger the scissors, the easier it is to fussy cut. I know a lot of people say the same. Some people like the little sort of snippers to do that. But, you know, Anne, she prefers smaller ones. I prefer large scissors. I find them easier. But doesn't that look really professional? I just think it really does look really clever. Let's grab a bit of black scrap from my black scrap box. But look, it's one of those, you know, that people would not realise how to do it, because they think none of us can cut a perfect circle like that. And you can do the same thing with a square die or a diamond die or anything, but it's so easy to do. But I think it's just one of those techniques that we forgot about. But that's what we've been doing. So simple different techniques, but how the same stamp looks so different in the different ways. And that's the one we coloured. But again, could you imagine trying to cut that out to stick it on top of there? It would be a nightmare. Whereas now, of course, I can colour that image exactly the same, but I have that perfect circle in there. Oh, that's good. A couple of people saying that's something new they've learned. That's what we're trying to do. That's what Craft Cave's about. Yeah, I'm Mountjoy. I can't cut a circle out even if I tried really hard. No, Anne, I'm exactly the same. to be perfectly honest with you. I really, really struggle. Right, so that was all the bits I'm going to show you tonight. I hope you've really enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed the last 2 hours. If you managed to catch the previous hour, brilliant. If you didn't, then why not? No, don't worry about it. Craft Cave's the important one. So the products I've been using tonight are available on the Art of Craft, because I've had quite a few people ask. And the stamp I'm using is part of an offer that's on there. So have a look at tonight's sort of page on the Art of Craft. We don't put links or flog anything on Craft Cave, so I'm not going to sort of give you links and prices and all that sort of thing. But thank you for joining me. I'm in Louth tomorrow doing a workshop with the wonderful people of Louth, with Helen and Dawn and Brenda and, oh, I can never remember her name. Is it Barbara? Betty, with our Betty. Yep, so with the girls tomorrow. And then back home tomorrow night late. We've got an Art of Craft live on Saturday night with a brilliant die set deal. Really, really good. I think it's one of the last of the bargain deals, because the week after we're using something new in from America. Which I'm quite excited about, to be honest. Haven't even got them yet. Can't wait to do them. So there is no launch this week. There's no new launch this week on Sunday night. The launch will be a week on Sunday on the craft store, and it's a new range for John Next Door called Slimline Dies. So that should be interesting. We'll put a few sneak peeks out in the next couple of weeks. But thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you can join me all on Saturday night at 6 o'clock on the craft store, or if not, come along to Lincoln if you can and say hello in Lincoln. I'll be there all day. I don't know if is it 9:30, 3:30 or 9:34, something like 9:33. Don't know what time it is, but come to Lincoln if you can. If not, I'll be back here at 7 o'clock next week for Craft Cave, and back at 6 o'clock on the